How's it going, guys? My name is Andrew, and welcome back to Safari Land. This is episode number 3, and we're starting out in Photoshop. So what I wanted to do before I went into any building in this episode is I wanted to show you kind of a plan for the park. So this right here, this is our square plot of land that we're given. And what I want to do is I want to have a large parking area that feeds into the entrance, like so. So what's going to happen is that cars will come in via like a road that we're going to have right here. There'll be like a toll booth, like you kind of see usually in like a parking, you like buy a parking ticket and then you go in and park in your area. Maybe what we'll have is we'll have like a standard parking lot here and then a big parking garage over here. Or maybe the parking garage will be over here and the parking lot will be over here. I'm not entirely sure. So you go into the entrance and then you're going to come over here and there's going to be kind of like a path or something. And then the path will go into two areas. So first it'll go into this area right here, which might be our jungle area. So we might have Congo area over here. I don't know. Maybe. It's an idea. And then we might have, well, then it's going to go this way as well. And over here, it'll go around a big lake. I may or may not change this. I might have a river instead of a lake. So not entirely sure. But these are just like basic plans. We'll have a coaster over here, like a big coaster. We'll have probably another coaster in this section over here. And then maybe we'll have some standard rides. Like I was talking about, we might have a, what was the ride I was talking about? It was a river rapids. That might be over here or something. Or maybe that'll be in the middle. I don't know. It'll be somewhere. And I also thought of having a potential hotel, like a resort on the park area. But I don't know if we'll have enough space to do that. But it's an idea. So this is just like a preliminary plan, just so you guys kind of know where the park's headed. So currently, the way it's working right now, let me undo everything. I don't know how to undo everything. Boom. Everything's undone. Just like that. Let's get myself another layer real quick. There we go. So currently we have the entrance about right here. So we're going to have to actually move that so that it's facing this way and it's a little bit down as well. So I think what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to work on some of that parking since we want to get that out of the way. And then after the parking, we can move on to maybe working a little bit more of the entrance. And then we can work on trying to get the actual park situated. So that's what we're going to do this episode. Let's cut to the time lapse. Welcome to the time lapse. Today we're going to be working on a parking garage. Now this is an idea I've had for quite a while in the series. Well, actually, probably since last episode. I think last episode is when we thought of this idea to have a parking garage in our park. And so now we're going to be building it. The idea for a parking garage, I really like the idea for a parking garage because I go to a university and the university has a lot of students. So the way that everybody parks is with these huge parking garages. And so parking garages are kind of just natural to me. I see them everywhere I go. If you ever go to the airport, you got those parking garages. So, excuse me, my voice is messing up. So my voice messes up sometimes. The idea we're going for here is it's going to be a kind of a small parking garage. And actually, let me know if you guys want more parking garages because economically, or realistically, I guess not economically, realistically, if you have one parking garage like this, you're probably going to have quite a few. So let me know if you guys want more parking garages, but at the current moment, I'm thinking I might just stick with this one. It's a small parking garage, like I was saying, but it will hold, I think I calculated it was going to be 136 cars, which is not very many for a parking garage, and it actually might hold more than that, just a few more, but that's roughly the amount. 136 to 200 cars is how many this is going to hold once you count the parking spots. So what you're going to notice is that the bottom of this parking garage it's actually starting on like the second floor. And I don't know why I did that. It just felt natural for the cars to go up a ramp and then they're on the standard parking garage. Initially, I didn't really want to do anything with that bottom floor there. It's just kind of walled in. But I think what's going to happen is I think we're going to keep that for like a staff area. So staff would park down there and then that would be that would be used for them only. So what we're doing now, this might look a little weird to you. I've never designed a parking garage before, so I didn't initially know how to go about doing it. I've seen lots of parking garages, enough to know there has to be an entrance and an exit, but I've never actually designed one. So what we did there with all the cars is we have an entrance where the cars come in, and then we designed where we wanted our exit to be, and then that's any space left over is space that we can put the cars. So that's what we did. The cars are just there for a guide to help us when it comes to when it comes to lining, which we're doing right now. We're doing all the lines for the for the floor. So you'll notice the cars are at a slant. I didn't want the cars. Have you ever been to a parking garage before where, well, I'm sure you have. If you've been to an airport, if you've been to Universal Studios, they've got a big parking garage. You'll notice that specifically, a lot of parking garages do it in two ways. Do parking in two ways. Some of them do parking in a slant, like I'm doing right here. Universal Studios does that, and some of the garages do parking in a kind of a blocked parking, like you just see in a parking lot. If you go to Walmart, this type of thing has blocked parking, so you have to do a 90-degree turn to get into that parking spot. Well, the way I've designed this parking garage is to be high throughput. That's why you'll see one entrance and one exit. Cars are designed to go in the entrance, look for a parking spot, and then when they want to leave, they go out the exit. They don't go out the entrance because that would cause delays. So it's high throughput, which means I found it best to get cars parking fast with less mistakes. We're going to want those slanted parking spots. And the reason for that is because when you have a slanted parking spot, the cars can just, they pretty much just drive straight into it. Whereas when you have a 90-degree parking spot, it takes a little bit more effort to get in there sometimes. Some cars may mess up, and then at that point you've got people doing like backing up a little bit to get into their parking spot. So slanted parking spots is what I wanted to go with there. Definitely. Just to have that high throughput. And you'll notice that they do that in Universal as well. And typically in any other theme parks, when they have parking, even if it's not a garage, it's always going to be slanted parking. Well, not always, but most of the time, just because it's faster for you to get into your parking spot, especially if you've got a lot of cars going into parking spots next to each other at the same time. So our line work's pretty much done there. We're doing some work on the arrows here. I wanted to have arrows because you'll usually, when you get into a parking garage like this, you'll find that there are directions. And if there aren't directions, they're usually attendants. But in Planet Coaster, I can't really have attendants walking around showing you where you need to go. So instead we have directions. And those directions are simple arrows on the ground that just say, go this way, go that way. So just outlining some areas where we don't want cars to go. And here we go. That's the exit right there. We don't. One thing you'll notice, and this is a heavy theme throughout the whole this whole play, or this whole game. I mean, this whole video. Oh my god, I can't talk. The heavy theme throughout this whole video is that I don't know where I'm going to do the ramp up and down. And so there's going to be a cut a little bit later on, and that cut I forgot to record me actually doing the ramps, but you'll see how I do it. I'll talk about it, and you'll see it. But as you can tell, I mean, there we go. We're trying to do the ramps right now, but see, this is the initial idea I had with the ramps. At the Orlando International Airport, which is near me because I live in Orlando, they've got these cool little ramps where it's like an exterior ramp. A lot of parking garages have interior ramps where you go into the parking garage, and there's a ramp that's inside the parking garage, and then you go up to the next floor, etc., etc. But the Orlando International Airport has this sort of exterior spiral ramp, and it's really cool. The cars just drive, it's a one-way. The cars drive up the spiral, and if they want to stop at the next floor, they get off the spiral. And if they want to continue to the next floor, they don't get off the spiral. They keep going and then go to the next floor. And so that's what I was trying to do here, but nothing was working. You can see I tried paths, and I tried using block pieces, but it just wasn't working out. And so this is where I kind of figured out that I really needed to overhaul the whole thing. It needed to be redone. And really the main reason I decided to completely redesign the parking garage, that's what we're doing here, we're redesigning the parking garage, is because I'm somewhat active on the Geekism Discord, and Geekism is another channel that does this sort of scenery building. So I'm somewhat active there, and I asked for suggestions on what to do about the parking garage. Well, someone linked me to another video by a dude, a YouTuber named, I think it's Uthris. I'm not 100% sure, but he did a parking garage, and I watched it, and it kind of inspired me. It made me think, you know what, my parking garage isn't good enough. I got to do a little bit better. So I made some cooler looking road signs here so that the people would know where to go without having to look at those sketchy looking arrows. So we're going to be using those road signs. I think they look a bit more professional for what we're doing. And then another thing we're going to do is we're going to completely redesign the outside of the parking garage, and a lot of the inside as well. This video is pretty much It starts off with me doing a decent job on a parking garage, and then it ends with me doing a really good job on a parking garage, I think. Now, it's up to you. You might not think that it's a really good parking garage, but I think it ends up looking pretty good. So there we go. We're looking for a style for the outside, and this is one of the things that Uthris did. I think that's his name. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but that's one of the things he did is he made this small little kind of tile piece using a bunch of different parts, and then he just copied that piece over into different areas. And so why not? I mean, I figured that's probably pretty easy to do. So we found a couple of different tile pieces that look good together, and that's what we decide our parking garage is going to look like. So we're still working with some tile pieces. We've got a little bit of a rail there so that people don't fall. It's one of the things that you see a lot in America is that you've got a lot of places where you've got to kind of protect the guests from themselves, and it's something that you don't see in other places. For instance, I've been to France before, and one of the things that they have there, they do a lot of zip lining. But the thing is, what they do when you go zip lining is they basically teach you how to use the tools, and then they send you on your way with your carabiners and stuff like that. Whereas if you tried to do the same thing in America, you would have a guide with you. You'd have someone who made sure you don't fall off the edge of the zipline course and you don't sue the place. So that's kind of the same idea we have here. This is going to be an American park. I'm actually thinking of Florida when I'm making this park as well, because I live in Florida, and that's just what comes naturally to me. All the theme parks I've been to have been in Florida, save maybe one or two. So and those were small parks. I've been to a small park in France, and I've been to there's a place in, I forget the name. There's a place in South Carolina that I've been. This is a water park, but yeah. So I haven't been to very many parks outside of Florida. Why go outside Florida when you have so many theme parks in Florida? Seriously, Orlando is crazy for theme parks. There's so many. But yeah, so we're doing a little bit of work. We had to do a little bit of work on the columns. Now you'll see the parking garage probably looks a little bit weird to you at this point, but once it's finished, I think it starts to look really good. And now at this point, we've pretty much given up the idea of doing the spiral ramp up, just because, I mean, it took this video is compiled of probably 5 days worth of gameplay, and so it took a lot of time for me to figure out what I wanted to do there. So what I'm doing there, by the way, is I'm moving everything down. I'm kind of shrinking everything a little bit, and the reason I've made that gap right there where the curb is because when you go to a theme park, think of Universal for instance, when you go to a theme park like that, you've got where everybody parks, but then you've got the area that people who park, they get out of their cars and then they converge on one area. And so in Universal, what that would be is there'd be an escalator that would take you down to a catwalk, and from there you would walk to the park. And so here, that small little curbed area that you see kind of on the left or top of the screen is where that is. So that's where people would walk, and ideally, and what we're going to do towards the end of this episode, is they would get onto an elevator or take the stairs. You got to have both. You can't have just one, because you want to have handicapped accessibility. And you can't just have elevators, because if it catches on fire, it's a huge risk. So people would converge there, and then they would take those down, and then we're going to have our own little sort of catwalk. And it's going to bring you straight to the park entrance. So that's our plans for what we're doing here. So I know I kind of already showed you the plans of the whole park, but that's our plan specifically for bringing people from parking to the park entrance, which it's actually not as easy as you think, bringing people from parking to the park entrance. There's a lot of, I mean, one thing that a lot of parks do is a tram. Universal specifically doesn't do that, but Animal Kingdom does have a big tram that brings you, and I think most of the Disney parks do as well, Busch Gardens as well. They bring you from the parking area to the park, because the parking areas are massive. Have you ever seen a parking area, by the way? Typically parking areas are almost as big as the park itself. It's insane how many parking areas they have. See that little catwalk I did? I did a little catwalk there. It's like it's a yellow, not catwalk, crosswalk. That might go. I'm not 100% sure, because typically you don't need it in a parking garage. Okay, right here there was that jump cut. So what you're gonna see here, And I don't think I showed you this in the real time. I've already recorded the real time portion that comes after this. It's a little bit unchronological, I know, but you'll see a good view of this in a second. But we've done the ramp at this point. You'll see it's an interior ramp. We extended the parking garage a little bit off the back, so we'll get a little bit closer in a second, and you'll see it. You can kind of see it in the background. It kind of looks like a triangle, a big triangle, big pyramid thing. So you'll see it. But we decided to go with an interior ramp instead of an exterior ramp, just because it was easier, honestly. The exterior ramp I think would have worked fine if we were doing just a one-story garage, which would have been weird, or like a two-story garage. It would have worked fine, but not for a four-story garage, which is what we're going for here. So yeah, you can see the ramp right there. It's kind of interesting. The one that you see right now, kind of closer to the bottom of the screen, that's our out ramp, and the one closer to the top of the screen is our in ramp. And so this right here that we're about to do is the place where cars might crash into each other. It's very tight right there. It's a very, very tight 180-degree turn, and I wish we could have done that better, but I couldn't think of a way that we could do it. So that's how it's going to be, and so it was. So if you can think of a way that we could do that better, then please go ahead and post that in the comments, because I'm not entirely sure what I could do to make that better. So here we go. We're just copy pasting the floors. Parking garages are easy. The reason I said that in an episode ago is because you only have to make one floor with a parking garage. Once you make the first floor, you just copy paste it a couple times, and then you do a little bit of editing for the floors. For instance, the top floor does not have an up ramp, obviously. The bottom floor does not have a down ramp. So just a little bit of editing, and then you've got everything covered. For instance, like right there, I wanted to have that so cars don't fall or anything. Yeah, so doing a little bit of work. We don't want those big columns on the top floor. You don't need them. And also, we don't want we're going to take this out in a second. We don't want see the big wall? We don't want a whole wall on the top floor. It just looks a little bit weird. What we're going to want instead is just kind of a railing. So we're going to take out a lot of that. I don't know what I'm doing there. I think I was trying to make more parking spots since we didn't have the columns, but I decided that that is fine. So there we go. We just basically just cut off half of the top part there, and we had to replace all the poles. I wanted to add this topper, and I might actually go back in and add that a little bit later, but it was seeming not very easy to add. It wasn't playing around. It wasn't playing nicely. So finally, we decided we're going to make our out ramp, and out ramp is basically the same thing as an in ramp. It's just yeah, it's just going the other way. We got this cool little piece here. This is for trucks not to hit their top off, so they know kind of how high how low their car needs to be in order to get through. And then a couple of bumpers. You notice we don't have any cars in the parking garage yet. I don't know when we'll add cars. We'll probably just throw some in randomly, different colored cars lying here and there, and that'll be fine. I don't know. We'll see how we do that. I don't know how many cars we're going to have. Is it going to be full? Is it going to be empty? A little bit of a lighting pass here. Initially, I think I went a little bit overboard on the lighting, and it ends up looking really weird. You'll see it in a second. So we add more lights there. We add more lights in the middle. We add more light. Yeah, we add more lights everywhere essentially on those poles. And you'll see. We take a step back. Look at that. It's just overflooded with lights. And you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just looks weird. The top floors, well, every floor of parking garages really have lots of lighting, and I'm sure you can imagine why. It's because parking garages are basically huge dark corners. Oops, there we go. I may have forgotten to edit out that part. But parking garages are pretty much big dark corners, and people could be trying to like rob you in there. So yeah, gotta have lighting. This is one thing that we're doing. We're working on an elevator, and you probably figured that out by now from the big steel doors that we've added, the makeshift doors. Yeah, we're working on an elevator because I figured we need an elevator. You got a four-story parking garage. Someone might be handicapped. Someone might be have a stroller. I don't know. So making an elevator. And one design that I'm taking this from hotels, kind of. I see them do that a lot. Is they have these glass backings for the elevator, so that people who are outside can actually see the elevator coming down. And I like the idea. I think it's pretty cool. It looks nice, and I mean, sure, you don't have as much privacy in the elevator, but still, I think it looks pretty cool. Who needs privacy in an elevator? If you got privacy, you're gonna be doing some weird stuff in an elevator. Don't ask. But here we go, just kind of taking out, and I really do like this time lapse here because it really looks like a construction project. It looks so cool. You're just like taking out parts, and you're like, psst, put the elevator in. Psst, 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 psst. Had to do a little bit of messing with this to try and figure out how to get the elevator set up properly, but we do get it once and for all. And there we go, the elevator. Once again, boom. You see that at the bottom? That's an elevator going to the bottom floor. Now, why would they need to go to the bottom floor if there's nothing down there? Dun dun dun. Oh, phone buzzed. Hope you guys didn't hear that. But that's where the staff's going to be, so no worries. I don't know. I don't really know why the staff would have to use the elevator to get up a floor, but considering the stairs that we're going to make in a second don't actually go up a floor, but or go down to that floor, but whatever, it's okay. So the elevator's looking pretty good. Add a little bit of this flooring here. I'm sorry if this is a little bit dizzy making here. Working on interior stuff in Planet Coaster is always a little bit, you have to do a lot of movements, and I try to keep that to a minimum, but when you're doing interior work, it's just really difficult. And you'll see that when we do lighting as well. Trying to find something for the elevator carriage, and really, really low poly for this. Low part count for the elevator carriage. I figured we don't really need to do that much for it. We really just wanted to have the big block so that you know it's there. Little rooftop there, doing a little bit of detailing on that as well, so it looks just a bit nicer than it usually does. Don't really know what to do about that corner piece. So if you guys have any ideas there, post in the comments. Once again, I'm very open to suggestions in this game. I love to hear what you guys think about the park and what you think I could do better as well. So specifically the parking garage, what do you guys think about it? What do you think could be done better? I don't want to do another complete overhaul of the parking garage because I've already done that. But but if you see like something simple and you're like, you should have other parking spots here, or what if you had another garage with a catwalk over to, I don't know, some crazy ideas, throw those down in the comments. They can be as crazy as you want, and I'll definitely read them, and I'll respond as well. So, and it might happen next episode. We shall see. So here we go. We're making the stairs now. Stairs are very similar to the elevator as far as design goes, and in fact, we're gonna throw the stairs right next to the elevator. So that's the thing. But no worries on that. It's gonna be very basic as far as the stairs go, and I'm not entirely sure about the color schemes that I went with here. We shall see if they look nice, or if you guys think they're nice. Pretty much went with just a standard white for the stairs, and so we're using those art shapes just to kind of go up with the stairs. And then there we go, a little platform, and we're gonna go up a little bit more. Let's look how simple this is. Stairs are just like parking garages. You only have to make the first floor of stairs, and once you've got it, you're set. You don't have to make any other floors of stairs. You just copy paste it. So here we go. We're gonna start with the we're removing some elements there because it's gonna go right into the elevator. So there we go. Once again, doing the same thing we did with the elevators. We're just removing all these outer pieces here, and actually I could have saved myself some time if earlier I had thought that we were going to be doing this, putting the stairs right next to the elevator. But I really think that glass style has come along really well. I think it looks very nice and modern, kind of. So I'm definitely proud of that glass, of the glass style. And actually, if you see kind of on the right side of the screen, that's the catwalk that we were talking about earlier. That's kind of the start of it. So you'll see where people would come from and where they would go. Whoopsies, the stairs went a little bit too far. I wanted to have a little edge there, but I wasn't sure what to do. Actually, coming to think of it, I might take away that piece right there, and I might just put art shapes instead. We'll see. Almost done with our parking garage. Just a little bit more to go. Just adding some basic detailing, and that's pretty much it. We're gonna do a little bit of a lighting pass here, and I think we do 2 passes of lighting. First, we start with these box lights, which I mean I figured they look good enough, but they weren't great, right? They didn't. You actually see. We're going kind of fast here, but you'll see what we do in a second. We get back to the box light. I couldn't find any other light that I was really happy with, so we went with box light. We do a row of 3 and then just duplicate that everywhere, and then same thing, duplicate it around, and then what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate it down. So at this point we have a lot of box lights. There we go. And see, that looks fine, but it doesn't look great. So I was messing around with the other lights and I figured they look a lot better. They let out a lot more light. So I decided to completely redo the floor using this light instead. And we can actually hide that in the ceiling, but I wanted it to be shown just a little bit. So pretty much same technique here. We're just adding lights over the parking spots. And what I found is that this makes the parking garage look so much brighter. It looks so much more well lit, especially on floor 2 and 1. It looks very good, I think. We take away the lights on floor 1 though, because it was just a bit too bright. So what's actually happening there is the light's actually protruding through the floor. So you've got the light on floor 3, but it's actually lighting up floor 2 as well and floor 1 as well. So as a result, you get a very, very evenly lit floor. And that's exactly what I was going for. That's the end of the time lapse. Let's go into the real time. All right, welcome to a real-time view of the park. This is what we built. This is our parking garage, and you can see it from all angles now. So what the cars would do then is, so I can actually show you now since I'm in real time. That's a little bit weird. What the cars do is they're going to go up this ramp right here, and then they're going to be able to go in here, minding the gap, by the way, with this cool little thing right here. And then they basically come in here and they park. But if they can't find a parking spot, what they're going to do is they're going to drive up this ramp, and they'll go to the next story. And they keep doing that until they get to the top. And if there's still no spots at the top, they got to come all the way back down. Actually, this is weird as well. Let's move in here and see if we can... What, do you guys need to be deleted? Yeah, it looks like you guys need to be deleted. Was that the only one that was like that? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much how the parking garage works. It's fairly small as parking garages go. The park that comes to mind that uses a parking garage like this is Universal, and they have a really, really large parking garage. So I was kind of taking a concept from them because I've been to Universal quite a bit. It's right around where I live, with these kind of slanted parking spots. But obviously, this parking garage is not nearly as big as Universal's is. But yeah, that's how you go. You do your thing. Another thing is, I may have mentioned this in the time lapse, but right here, what's going to happen is the people are going to park. So say you're parked on the top, you can either take the elevator down to the first story here, or you can take the stairs down to the first story as well, and then you get to here. And this right here is going to lead into the park. So this is going to kind of come down and move in towards the park like that. So you'll definitely see that in probably next episode. We'll work a little bit on that. This bottom story here, once again, I don't really know if I talked about it in the time lapse. This bottom story right here, I do plan on making into a like a staff parking area. So there'd be like, I'm not sure where, maybe over here. There'd be like an entrance, or maybe on this side as well. There could be an entrance for staff to get in there. And probably not this side because this is where the exit is. Cars are coming out. But maybe here then staff would come in, show their badge or something to a security guard, and they'd be able to park on this bottom story and then head into the park that way. So that's our parking garage. We still got all these like random assets lying around, but those are there just to help us out. So I guess now I can actually show you this stuff as well. So this is stuff that I worked on alone. I wasn't recording when or I didn't want to include this in the time lapse because it took a long time of just messing around with stuff. But I kind of made a road into the area. I didn't like how it was kind of coming from a mountain. That looks a bit weird. I didn't like how it was coming from like a tunnel. I don't know, like it used to be a tunnel here. You'd come out and then you'd be in the park, and that's how you got in. I didn't like that, so I changed it around so that now you're coming in via a big road, and it looks a little bit wonky, but I think it looks better than the random tunnel. So the road right here, this is the inbound right here. This is going to feed into a toll booth right here. So that's where the toll booth is going to be, and then the toll booth is going to send cars either towards the parking lot or towards the parking garage. Still haven't decided how we're going to do that, but maybe next episode we'll take a look at that. And then when cars are done with the park, they will come out via this road, and they'll be able to just leave that way. The way I'm going to do this right here, by the way, this is a spawner, a building spawn, or a person spawner. So what we're going to be doing here is we're probably going to place the person spawner either here, where people can spawn right here, or we'll place it somewhere near parking, so it looks like people are actually spawning from the parking lot and coming into the park. One other thing we might do is we might have like a little tram that drops people off in front of the park, and so that would be where people would spawn, either well, probably in the front of the park where the tram stop would be. So still haven't decided where we're going to put that, but that's kind of the plans for the park. So if you guys liked the episode, hit the like button and put your comments and your suggestions down below. I definitely love to read those, and you guys have really good suggestions, so I like it. See you guys next video.